I heard someone say one time, a mentor always walks through the door when a student is ready to learn. So the mentor you're looking for is waiting to walk through that door. We're waiting on you.
Wow.
It's so good. It's heart posture, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you're blessed enough to have a Jethro in your life that sits you down and goes, hey buddy, that's not gonna work. That's a rare occasion. I'd rather have it be invited.
Right.
I'd rather crave feedback. I know I'm doing something wrong. I just am not quite aware of it. Somebody show me, because I so want to get better.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Grow Leader Podcast, where we grow leaders that grow churches by helping them reach their full potential. So glad that you're with us today. My name's Matt. Welcome. Sitting as always beside my pastor. You're looking good today, by
Thank
the
you.
way.
I was at Highlands College today. I call this my chancellor attire. You know, the Birmingham Blazer, baby. You know,
out of all the Birmingham Blazers, that might be the best one.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I always, honestly, we had today at Highlands College a bunch of prospective, it's hard to say, prospective students and their parents. And I always want them to see the chancellor in it's at a place that they would want to send their students to. So,
and we call those discovery days. And so if you're out there, if you're a parent and you've got a child about to be in the college stage of life, we invite you, come see a discovery day here at Highlands College. Excited about the episode today, about the week this week. Big deal in our tribe because it's art conference week this week.
Absolutely. And we have one of our dear friends who has, we bring him in several times a year to speak to our students. Last night spoke at Motion Night, our big monthly student gathering that we have for all of our high school and junior high school students. And then, of course, while he's in town, I'm working him pretty hard because I had him at Highlands College today. And then we're also having him speak to a bunch of our legacy team. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the people in our church who have self-identified as having the gift of giving.
Right.
And so he'll speak to a lot of those, but he's been a dear friend of mine. He's probably not young enough to be called a son, but I see him like a spiritual son. I love him so much. I'm so proud. Chad Veach, everybody. Welcome to the Grow Leader Podcast.
Thank you so much I love this podcast, by the way, and I think you guys are absolutely crushing this. I watch it, I listen, so thank you for what you're doing. I know there's a bunch of pastors that are out there. When you're doing a podcast, you don't always know who's listening, who's watching. I'm listening, I'm watching.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for this podcast.
Well, likewise on yours, the leadership lean in.
It's just the best.
Yeah, it is great. And I've seen how yours has evolved, and it's spectacular. It's fun. It represents who you are. In every way. And man, we want to hear from you today. This podcast, I think we have a little niche in this podcast that we want to, as Matt said in the opener there, we want to grow leaders that grow churches.
Beautiful.
By helping someone reach their full potential. And you can't reach your full potential without somebody else speaking into your life.
That's right.
And today, that's the mode I want you in, just like you did for our students today. I want you to imagine with me all the Grow Leader audience that's listening because they want to go to their full potential, realizing that they haven't gotten there yet.
That's great.
And so hopefully today we're gonna grow some leaders. And you did a spectacular job today, by the way, at Highlands College, speaking to our students and all of those prospective students and their
you nailed it that time.
Thank you very much. And their families today, and you speak so well to that because of your own call on your life, how you were sitting in those seats as a 19-year-old trying to figure out, whether you should be a high school teacher and basketball coach, which I didn't know that till today for the first time, or to step into the call of God on your life to be in ministry. We're all glad that you made the right choice, by the way. But you spoke so well to the students. I wanted you just to tell the audience your own reaction of Highlands College, your experience today.
Oh my gosh!
And listen, I want to unpack a little bit of what you shared today as well.
Yeah, I don't want to use this story and illustration every time I come because you've probably heard it 1,000 times. When people come to Highlands, and the Highlands College in particular, the Queen of Sheba story comes up. Oh, they didn't tell me the half of it. And I was here last year, and I stepped into it again today, and I go, gosh, it's just even better than I remember. It's better than what I'm seeing on social media. I always think that's an important thing as a leader, is that when we are posting about what we're doing, to never sell a product that when someone comes in person, they're like, you make it look so much better
that's great.
than what it really is. I always think who you are as a person should be better than who you are online.
That's good.
There's a value there. So today, a couple of things that stand out to me. Number one, We've been to 1,000 chapels, and we know when there's faith and expectation, and we know when it's dutiful. Today, you felt that faith and expectation. I love the students that were up there. Not just the students leading worship that did a great job, but this girl, Abby, gets up after the first song. Are you kidding me?
Crushed it.
I'm like, where do you find these people?
So for you guys that are listening, we have students who have never spoken on the stage before get up and do what we call a ministry moment after the first song. But it's edifying for the student body, but we do it for the training of the person doing it.
Yeah.
So I leaned over to Chad and said, this is her first time. And I said, watch this.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
And the guys getting up doing announcements, this Caesar Augustus, Caesar salad kid.
Caesar.
His
Caesar
name
like
is
the
Caesar,
salad.
but he goes, Caesar like the salad, which is, he's already got, and you know what I told him afterwards? I said, hey, your personality is so great. You have
Yeah.
such a gift. Just know that God will use that personality.
Yeah.
I love that you create a space where a kid with a big personality didn't feel like, I got to really stuff this
Right.
and put it away. I think every person, we want them to walk in their grace,
Exactly.
in their God-given potential. And you felt that from every student. So I was blown away today by the entire, I think every pastor should come experience your pre-service huddle.
Right.
You know what, the last time I was here and I went to the pre-service huddle, I went home and started doing that with our team, the honor moment.
Yep.
If you come as a guest speaker here, you're honored about 4 times before you step on stage.
Yeah.
So you've been to 1,000 churches where you're like, do you guys want me here? Is this gonna?
That's great.
But when you're honored, you're going, oh, they love me. They want to hear from me.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Again, for those of you who are listening, the whole chapel moment that we have at Highlands College twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays is for the training. It's part of the training of our students. They actually graduate with 800 hours of experience in their degree field. So we're very dedicated to getting them on the stage now. So they're running the cameras, they're running the words on the screens, they're producing the service, they're picking out the songs, they're leading the songs, they're playing the instruments, they're doing the ministry moment. And we even had students introduce you. And then Chad talked about that before the service. We do, kind of what most churches would do as a service planning huddle. Well, this is very intentional. There's worship. There's very strong, passionate prayer.
Yeah.
But whoever's speaking, we always have our students that have something to say to honor the whoever's there. And again, we don't do that because you needed it. We did it because they needed to learn how to give it.
Wow.
So we did it more for the student than we did for you. We know you got blessed by it, but it really wasn't for you as much as it was to teach a generation how to honor people.
Wow.
So
it's amazing.
I love the whole experience.
Yeah, same.
And then after it's all over, by the way, every part of that service got debriefed with leaders.
Wow.
Our worship leaders said, okay, you did this, but this would made that better. Or, hey, that was maybe a little bit too high in that key. Let me tell you why. So we're training them along the way. And it's the part of Highlands College, one of the many parts that I love so very much. So again, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, and if you want to see that chapel, you can actually go to the Highlands College YouTube channel, and we'll link that in the show notes. And you can watch the chapel that Chad was a part of today. I think we need to do a whole episode one day about just a culture of honor. We take that for granted around here because it's who we are and what we do, but not every place is doing it like this.
That's right. And again, not for the person who receives it. If you build a culture of honor because you need it, there's something.
And people will tell. They can know.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard you say one time, Pastor Chris, you said, honor is powerful when it's given. It's dangerous when it's needed.
Exactly.
Ooh.
That
is awesome.
I think we're having that episode right now. But I want to shift over to let's unpack your message just for a minute before we get into some of the brilliant leadership that's inside of you. You brought a message to our students today out of the verse out of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, how Paul encourages us to be builders. Like, Jesus is the foundation. He's what it's all about. But we're builders. Unpack that just a little bit.
Yeah, and I think what a privilege. In the verse he says, take heed. There should be like a very humble approach to this with the fear of the Lord. The Bible talks about work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. I like that idea even as I'm building my life, that I don't make these plans and agendas and I force God's will. I think that's why developing a powerful prayer life is so important.
Yeah.
It's me surrendering.
That's great.
God, what is your plan? Right. I like that scripture. It says, many plans does a man have in his own heart, but the Lord directs his steps. So today we're really just talking about if you partner with God, which is what it's all about. It's hard to do ministry if I'm not partnering with the Lord. If I partner with God, I'll build something with his grace and with his strength, with the power that he gives me, with the wisdom he gives me. That's far better than anything I could build in my own strength. And we know that, if unless the Lord builds the house, the laborers labor in vain. Some of that is just the idea of we got to depend on God. The problem with being talented, and so many people listening to this are so uberly gifted and so talented, and that is the problem, is because you're so clever and smart, you can manipulate anything. And then you throw the God card on top. Well, God said, God told me, I think we get into this dangerous lifestyle of just doing our own thing. It takes a real submission to Scripture, submission to authority, a surrender. I talked about that today, to go like, okay, I want to do this, Lord. Even I love that story of Gideon. We were just reading that in our read through the other day. Like, Lord, are you in this? David always asking, Lord, are you in this? Do you want me to go to war? Keeping that constant flow of relationship is, to me, how you build your life.
That's so good. And of course, this week we're celebrating all the new churches that we have planted with our art conference. It's something we're very proud of. I always like to think of it too that, Jesus said, I will build my church.
That's right.
And the gates of hell shall not prevail against that church. And I love the fact that we're partnering with the Lord to build his church.
That's right.
I think of it, Chad, a lot when I think about Jesus calls the church the bride of Christ. And so if we're building the bride, we're kind of like that wedding coordinator where they're just making sure everything goes well so we can partner with God, keep in tune with what God wants in his kingdom to build his church. And of course, that's what this week is all about. And I would love for you to talk about, because we're celebrating the fact that your church is 10 years old now.
Yeah, we're 10 years old. We turned 9 in August, but we've been going for 10 because we spent a year getting ready. I moved to LA. We had 2 kids then. Those were the days. I had 2 more. I always tell my wife, I think we had too many. And we moved down. We didn't have a staff. We didn't have anything. We just went on a word. Our pastors blessed it. Our parents blessed it. That was a big deal to us.
Yeah.
And then, we started in our living room. I told that story today. We started 11 people in our living room. This idea. So for a year, we met about the idea every Tuesday night, building a core, and then we launched. And the launch was spectacular. The launch was unbelievable. But I do believe that you need the right training. That's why ARC is so important.
Yep.
You need the right training. You need wise counsel. You need to take time, get everything in order. So yeah, we're 10 years old, 9 officially, but 10 unofficially.
Yeah, Zoe Church in Los Angeles. And so you've learned a lot, hopefully, in 10 years. So you had this one set of skill sets, expectations, knowledge.
Yeah.
What have you learned over these 10 years that could help some of the pastors and leaders that are listening today?
Yeah, years ago, there's a guy named Jerry Cook that wrote a book, The Things I've Learned Since I Knew It All.
Exactly.
I think when you start a church, you're like, I know what I'm doing. And then you start a church, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. For me, it feels like our experience is almost split in half. We had 4 years of momentum, ramping. All I did was add services, add locations. We started a conference. We started a college. We went on tours. We started music, merch. It was a rocket ship.
Right.
And then COVID. And I was telling Pastor Chris earlier, we didn't have church for 17 months.
Not just COVID in LA.
COVID in LA, it's a different thing.
Even a different deal.
So we didn't meet on Sunday for 17 months.
Wow.
So I feel like I learned a lot in the first 4 years, and then I've learned more in the last 4 years. Our church is almost older post-COVID than it was pre.
Wow.
And what we accomplished in the first 4 years, I look back and go like, wow, we were running at I don't know if it was sustainable. But I will conclude that with, I've learned how desperate I am for counsel. I need other eyeballs. I need other voices. I need a different perspective. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes.
Right.
So if you ask a leader, they're killing it. They're doing, this is what we're supposed to be doing. So I've learned through, 10 years, I need my wife to speak into it a bit. I need my best friends. I need pastoral counsel. I need outside voices. I need to learn. I'm shocked by how little I know about this.
Wow.
So I've never needed help more than I do right now.
Well, I'd love for you to tell a story. I'd love for you to tell an area that you thought you understood it, or you didn't see it and someone else came into that, because we're right now developing something at Grow Leader. I don't know if I've even told you this yet or not, but we are developing something that we can make available to churches to basically come in just for one day on a Sunday and assess things for them, help them see things that they're not seeing, and they're actually going to report back to me and to Lee Domain, and we're going to write a report and have feedback to that church on, hey, this is what they saw, here's what we recommend, just because there's this principle that I really believe in, it's really what you're saying, and that is the longer you're in something, the less you are aware of that thing. That's exactly right. So, you know, I always say every car, every house has a smell. That you don't smell.
We have young kids. That is true.
We
walk into the room.
It doesn't even have to be a bad smell. It just has one. But somebody new to the space will come in and go, you know, they'll smell it. And I think it is important to have outside eyes, outside counsel.
That's huge.
So do you have a story of something like, man, I didn't even know this, and this person stepped in and really helped me see this or grew my leadership in this area?
100%. Well, we had this one guy, he's a really great pastor. His name is Chris Hodges. He came and preached for us. In PC, I don't know if you remember this, you came and preached for us right before the pandemic. And I was on stage introducing him. And, you know, side stage, all the service coordinators and all that is behind a curtain. And PC looks over our team and goes, you know, it'd be great if we had back here a speaker where I could hear him. And so the next week we had a speaker
because you were talking about me, and I didn't know what you were saying.
There you go.
So I couldn't play off of it.
It's something that small.
That small.
You know, it really is. From parking to kids, to how the coffee system to ushers, greeters, welcome team. I think all of it matters. You know, I love this thought that love is in the details. When we love people, when we have the gift of hospitality, we're thoughtful about it. We're thinking about what's best for them. And so I want everyone to have the best experience. So I think about the volume of the music. I think about, you know, how long does the message go? Is it digestible? Can people walk away with some truths to put in their pockets? All of that matters.
So let me throw out a thought that I want you to play off of, because I think one of the things that's required is having this teachable spirit.
Yes.
Because some people would prefer to defend, well, this is why we do this. That's why we don't have a speaker on the side. You know, and there really is. There's a defensiveness in their spirit. We have a very feedback culture here at our church. And, I mean, if anyone does anything, if they lead prayer, they'll come right off the stage, you know, PC, how did I do? How can I be better? We built that into the culture, but for a lot of environments, that's not their culture. No. They don't want someone telling them something else.
Yeah.
But when it's really critical for somebody to have that ability to be taught,
it's huge.
You have any thoughts about that?
Well, I just think, I heard someone say one time, a mentor always walks through the door when a student is ready to learn. So the mentor you're looking for is waiting to walk through that door. We're waiting on you.
Wow. That's so good.
It's heart posture, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you're blessed enough to have a Jethro in your life that sits you down and goes, hey, buddy, that's not going to work. That's a rare occasion. I'd rather have it be invited.
Right.
I'd rather crave feedback. I know I'm doing something wrong. I just am not quite aware of it. Somebody show me, because I so want to get better. I so believe that I'm not there yet. And so that spirit to me that you're talking about, it flirts with entitlement, but really it's arrival. I've arrived. I know what to do. I know how this works. I know church. I know preaching. I know leadership. I'm the opposite. I don't know preaching. I'm trying to learn how to become better.
Yeah.
I watch myself sometimes, not every week, but I watch myself. And when I watch myself, you know what I do most times? I sit there and go,
why did you do that? Why did you say, look.
Why are you doing that?
Why didn't somebody tell me I was doing that?
I know, I do it all the time, and it's painful.
It's painful.
And I've been doing this 40 years now, and I still go, I cannot believe you make that gesture. You mumbled and fumbled over those words, you know, whatever it is.
Totally.
Yeah. So
to me, though, it's heart posture.
Exactly.
It's a surrender to go like, hey, I need counsel. And don't you wish you have a few friends, few knuckleheads out there, you go, boy, you could use a mentor. you could use a helper. I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather invite it and say, hey, if you ever see anything, if you ever feel anything, sense anything, please speak into this. So I think to me, it's an attitude, the attitude of learning.
And I think one of the things that people don't know about the two of you, I've seen it. You've been here when you're not speaking. Just to study, to be around, to check it out, to learn. You do this all the time. You're always studying somebody else. incessantly. I mean, we're trying to keep up with who you're studying, and anytime we become the expert, we're in trouble.
That's right.
And always inviting people, giving them permission. Hey, if you see something, I want you to watch this. And I would encourage all the pastors and leaders that are listening, you need to have these outside eyes, this outside counsel.
Absolutely.
But don't wait for it. Go ahead and invite it. That's a great thought.
And I always think, traveling, I went to 2 Bible colleges. The first one was academic, and the second one was the road. Traveling is its own Bible college. It's another word for that is exposure. You got to see something bigger. You got to catch a vision. I love the line, God gave you eyes, played your eyes. Yeah. Go see something.
That's right.
And I see that, you had somebody come up after the first song and they did, wow, that's so good. Last night I watched Church News, the commercial, and I leaned over our guy, we're still in that. You get ideas. You got to get exposed to if you want to build a big world, you got to step into a bigger world.
Yeah, I always say every church can teach you something, so we go look for it. And I always say, you're better than us with this for now. Because I am going to take it home, make it better, and they'll be learning from me the very thing that they taught me. So that is that heart posture. And again, stay tuned, everybody that's listening, that's a part of Grow Leader. This service that we have available to churches is going to be unveiled over the summer time, where we can come send a person from our team to come do this health assessment of your church, look over every part. I'm talking about driving onto the parking lot. How long does it take? How long does it take to check a kid into service, how loud the music is.
There you go.
And just bringing back a report of things that you may not be seeing or didn't even know that was there. So we're very excited about this. So
you think about that. I'm preaching this Sunday on excellence. So I'm studying the subject of excellence right now. And I just love the enemy of excellence is being mediocre.
Yeah.
Being okay with being average or below average. And just kind of that spirit of like, it's fine. It'll work. It's not the best, but excellence makes this demand of in every area of your life, I want to be excellent.
That's good.
You can't hang out with the Spirit of God, which is the Spirit of excellence, and not become like Him.
Yeah.
So our churches should reflect that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
People should walk and go, man, the part, when I went to the Masters, when I go to Disneyland, the excellence screams at me.
Right.
When I come to Highlands Church and Highlands College, the excellence is yelling at me. And people, when they come to our churches, it's giving them a message or not.
Do you know where that came from? Where I learned it for the first time. A lot of people don't know this. I actually have a business degree, and in my sophomore year, I had a marketing class, and we had a guest speaker. I'll never forget it. And he was in the subject of the class that day. Was at LSU, Go Tigers. The lesson that day was what can you put in place to get a repeat customer? So what makes people come back?
Wow.
And you would think that the answer would be good price and convenience close to my house. None of those are like so far down the list.
Wow.
The number one reason why people return to a grocery store or to a car dealership, why do they buy again? Comfort was the answer. I feel comfortable here, which begs the question, what is the number one factor that creates comfort? And the answer was excellence.
That's it.
So that's the phrase, excellence creates comfort. Why do we have green grass 12 months of the year, something blooming, things in order, starting on time? Because their defenses come down, they feel comfortable, and now they're open to the gospel speaking into their lives. And so we don't do it just for showing off sake. Look how excellent we are. No. We do it for the sake of the defenses come down. They can relax in that space. It feels safe to me now, and now God can speak into their lives.
And another thought with that, to me, the return customer, in our context, to me, it's the favor of God. Excellence attracts the favor of God. So now you have favor with God and favor with man.
That's good.
God is drawn to that. He's a God of order.
He's a God of order.
So when there's excellence, God shows up, and then the customer does as well. So it just brings this huge echo of going like, good things, God things are happening here.
That's so good. Well, again, we want to let everybody in our podcast know about yours. You are a brilliant leader. So I think when people see you, Chad, you're so charismatic. You're probably one of my most fun friends to be around. I mean, you always have a great attitude. You have the biggest smile in the pastor world. I mean, but what people may not know about you, you are a brilliant leader.
Yeah.
Give us a leadership thought that you're working on right now, or that's maybe showing up in your podcast.
Yeah, well, I said it today. I heard this Jeff Bezos quote. He said, anytime you're leaning away from the future is always going to win. And I love this. It made me think about him. And I thought about how hard he's worked to get his company to where it's at. And I know some of his hours. I don't know if you knew this about Jeff Bezos. He takes no meetings in the morning. He spends all of his time with his family and starts his day around 10. And then he works the rest of his day. So I know that's not laziness. He's just cracked his code about how is he going to be at his optimum level. And I just love this idea that here he goes at 10 o'clock. I started thinking about him. At 10 o'clock, he goes in, and I don't know his executive team or how his hours exactly work, but I know he's trying to lean into the future. And so, leadership to me is this thing. My dad threw me. I was talking about my dad's yellow GMC pickup truck today. My dad, I can remember the tapes from the Global Leadership Summit and hearing Jack Welch for the first time.
Wow.
Hearing some of these, big, huge name, Ken Blanchard, for the first time. And I'd drive my dad's pickup truck when I was a teenager, and I was listening to leadership teachings from the Global Leadership Summit, and I got addicted to hearing about leadership, listening to the subject. I started to marvel at it. Started reading John Maxwell and 21 Irrefutable Laws. So I really believe everything rises and falls on leadership.
Yeah.
It's the greatest felt need in our churches, in our homes, in our marriages. The world needs leadership, right? And strong leadership. When was Israel happiest? When the leaders were leading.
Yep.
So I just love trying to learn the dynamics of leaning into that, because I know that if I don't, I'm going to be in a world of regret.
And you're very intentional. I know you, and I know you're very intentional about that. Can you tell us what your personal growth plan is? Because that's something I would recommend for every pastor is don't just wait for it to kind of come to you again.
Yeah.
To me, the best leaders are intentional leaders. So if we're saying, I need to grow, and I'm going to lean into leadership. So what does that practically look like? Like, what is your personal growth plan? How do you work in your conferences, your reading, your mentorship? It's like when you do it, and I know how intentional you are, what does that look like for you?
Well, I think it first starts with my daily reading. I have a daily Bible reading plan that I think all of my life flows out of that. Because when the scripture says, 2 Timothy 3:16, right? All scripture is God-breathed. It's useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting. That thing will whoop you up.
Yeah.
That thing will check your motives, right? So I feel like my growth really stems, the genesis of it starts there.
And it's real, by the way, everyone listening, when he's preaching to our students, he's quoting scripture. You have one of the largest memories of scripture of any pastor that we have in front of our students. And I honor you for that.
I appreciate that. All of that came to me in 1998. A guy named Wayne Cordero sat me and his son down. We were freshmen in Bible college, and he taught us how to do a daily Bible reading plan. And he taught us this thing called SOAP. And we learned that in 98. We didn't apply it till 99. We had a freshman year of having fun. We were in Southern California, beaches and weather. Yeah. But sophomore year, we locked in. Yeah. And I've been doing that reading since 1999.
That's awesome. I love it.
And so just building that. But I think always trying to find a book, always trying to find a podcast, always attending the right conference. I think a lot of it even has to do with my wife and I getting on the same page about our calendar. Our kids are small. We just finished a few weeks ago. We finished basketball season and we were starting baseball season. We were doing 6 games a Saturday.
Yeah.
3 basketball, 3 baseball.
And having to preach the next day.
And having to preach the next day.
Yeah.
So there's a demand on my schedule that I have to always be sensitive to, that it affects other people. So, but to answer your question, I think it's about, if you want to have good things to say, you got to put a lot of good things in.
That's right.
You just got to put a lot of good, because Jesus said, if a good man will store up good things, and an evil man will store up evil things out of the abundance of the heart. So I'm trying to discipline myself. There's a journal you gave me years ago called Focus.
Yeah.
And you challenged a group of pastors to say, I don't think your biggest challenge is opportunity. It is focus.
Exactly.
So when are my focus hours? You challenged me years ago and said, don't give the best of your day away to people. So if you look at my life and my calendar, I go to bed early.
Yeah.
I'm toes up 9 p.m., toes up. And I'm up early while it's dark.
Yep.
And I'm making that pot of coffee, and I got my worship going. I'm in my reading, and then I'm starting to strategize. I think great leaders make to-do lists.
That's good.
I'm making to-do lists. I'm thinking about where I need to go, what I need to do. I'm writing messages. I'm thinking ahead. The other day, I was up early in the morning, and I was doing my reading, and I started reading 2 Corinthians when Paul's writing about generosity. And God started speaking to me about your legacy team.
Yeah.
I just think when you don't have a disciplined life, you miss out on opportunities
So good.
to get the stuff that brings great authority to your life.
So good.
Look, if you're not listening to Leadership Leaning In, which is Chad's podcast, it's candid. It's so much fun. When I work out, I listen to it. Over 150 episodes.
Yes.
now, which is
Congratulations,
incredible.
that's great.
We're just over 50. We feel like we've done 500. So
It's a big undertaking.
Oh, it's a no joke discipline itself.
Yes.
But
Right.
it's amazing. So grateful for the way that you edify the church so well, and in every room you walk into. Like, if you're not having fun with Chad Veach, it's your fault. Every single time. And so we're grateful for you. We've so enjoyed having everybody here today on the Grow Leader podcast. Hey, if you liked it, share it.
Yes.
Comment on it. Let us know that you like it. It helps.
Tell your friends.
Get the message out there to everybody who could need it. We'll see you next time on the Grow Leader podcast. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And we also want to say a big thank you to all of our partners that help make the Grow Leader podcast happen each and every month. The first is Compassion International. For over 70 years, they have served the most vulnerable children in the world in Jesus' name. Through the power of the local church, they've impacted over 2.3 million children, and they're not stopping anytime soon. Learn more about how you can be a part of what they're doing at compassion.com/growleader. The next is our newest partner, Studio C. Studio C can help you know your people and grow your church. They combine strategy, technology, and communications to maximize church member engagement. You can bridge the engagement gap and transform your church's impact with Studio C. Learn more about them at their website. It's thestudioc.org/growleader. And finally, a big thank you to the Wesleyan Investment Foundation. For over 80 years, the Wesleyan Investment Foundation has helped churches with their borrowing and their investing needs. Whether you're dreaming of a new opportunity or seeking wise counsel about resource management, WIF can assist you. You can learn more about them at wifonline.com/growleader.